And welcome inside the WV Mason Coaches Report. Ryan Mayer here with head coach for the Hofstra Pride baseball team, John Russo. And coach, coming off your first series victory against VCU, also your first series sweep of the Virginia Commonwealth Rams over the weekend. Let's start with Friday. It's a 7-4 win, you guys. You get a 7 1/3 inning start from David DeRico, and Brian Verbitsky comes up, cleans up the later innings. What did you see first from your pitching staff in that game, even though DeRico didn't have the most dominating start?
He didn't have the most dominating stuff. You know, something David did on Friday that was real hidden throughout the weekend was his 5th, 6th, and 7th innings were 3 shutout innings at a time where we didn't have much momentum. And then we came back and scored in the bottom of the 7th and the bottom of the 8th to win the game, and everybody sees the comeback, but his holding it together. You know, he didn't have his best stuff, and he got hit some and gave up 4 runs, but his 5th, 6th, and 7th innings, he actually got stronger. He actually figured them out, and you know, he had a tough start there in the 8th, but Brian came in with 1st and 2nd and got calling out, and then had a great 9th inning where he was 1-2-3 against, you know, the top hitting team in the conference. And you know, I think Brian sat 91, 92 on the 8th and the 9th inning, which is the hardest he had thrown. So maybe being at home and being relaxed, but you know what a great job they did coming out, setting the tone on the mound.
And you speak about the comeback. That's something that we've seen a lot from your team so far in the early going into the season. Very resilient in the later innings. This time, able to pull off the comeback. What was different this time than maybe some of the earlier season comebacks that just fell short?
You know, I was real glad that the home crowd and everyone got to see what effort we've been playing with all year, and then they got to see him come back. And you know, to be honest, I was real hopeful being at home, you know, and having the last at bat. And you know, you seem to do better when you know what you have to do instead of always setting the pace. And it felt like we were always coming from such a bigger burden away, but we weren't that far away on Friday, and broke through and had some big hits. And you know, it was a real good comeback and a real great start to the series.
Now we transition to Saturday, 13-4 win for you guys. That's where you pick up the first series victory against VCU. You get a pretty strong outing from your starter in Tiedemann. He goes 5 1/3. But something that we've spoken a little bit about before is you want to see those starters get into the 6th, 7th inning, and we haven't yet seen that from him. What do you think happens around that 6th inning mark that he's just not able to push a little bit further?
You know, we haven't figured it out. John's real had a block with the 6th inning. I think it's the 3rd time. You know, we've had to remove him during the 6th inning, and you know, it's something we're going to talk about this week. And you know, the way he was throwing early, you think 7 innings, no problem. He had really good stuff, 88-91 with a good slider. We had the lead. You know, just a bunch of positive things, and then you know, we're up 7 runs, and next thing you know, it's you know, 8-4 with guys on 2nd and 3rd, and you know, John just lost it, and you know, he gave us a really good start, and we have a lot of confidence in him, but it's something we're definitely going to have to figure out for us to be really good on the weekend to get him longer.
Now your offense jumped out early in this game. It did provide Tiedemann with that big cushion. How good is it for you to see that offense really providing the run support for the starters so that they don't have as much of a burden to only give up 4 or 5 hits during the course of the game?
We felt really good, even though Farrar, their starter, had like a 2.380 ERA going into that game. We felt like we were a good matchup, and here's why: is he had a really high leg kick, and we thought he'd have a lot of trouble with our running game. And in turn, he went slide step the whole game, which isn't something he's done all year. And you know, he left some pitches up, and our guys did a really good job of hitting. And we got 7 early runs, and you know, it really threw VCU out of whack a little bit because you don't really have many answers on a Saturday game, a 3-inning start. So they had to go to the bullpen a lot earlier, and we were able to add on, you know, runs throughout the game and get deep into their bullpen.
Now you go into Sunday, you're looking for the sweep of the series, your first series sweep of the year in conference play, and you come away with a 12-5 win. Back and forth early, and you guys get down again, but you see another good start from Dave Jesh. He's been very effective so far this season, and we've talked a lot about him, but what did you see from him yesterday in particular that was allowing him to sort of change up the pace against VCU?
You know, he was funny as we were talking about David on Sunday going into the game, and he gets a lot to you know, seeing David and Tiedemann, who have similar type stuff to what he does. We saw him walk up and back and forth about 6 times to the scouting report, and you know, in his head for 2 days, he's planning on how he's going to go about pitching, and you know, then it's given Matt Wright said our catcher 2 days to also pick him apart, and you know, it's a real big luxury for, you know, Dave Jesh to see what John and David have done to them the previous 2 games, and then has his own game plan, and already has Matt, who's calling our pitches, you know, 2 games in it, and just to watch those two work together and be on the same page and be able to throw it. And you got to give Dave, a lot of credit for being able to execute pitches, but he's not pitched like a freshman so far this year.
Now, a little bit of a change in strategy for you. Early in the game, you replaced Dalton Russo, bring in Austin Nyman into the infield, put Matt Ford back out at short, and then insert Kenny Jackson into the ball game. What was behind that decision?
What happened was on Sunday's game at George Mason, in about the third inning, his second at bat, Dalton got hit by a fastball on the knuckle on his hand, kind of like a Derek Jeter type, diving in, got hit on the hand, and he was all right with it. And then the first inning, he got the hit, and he got picked off first base, and he went to slide back into first base, and he jammed that knuckle again. And he actually went up to bat his second time, hit a pretty decent ball with one hand. He wasn't able to grip the bat. And, after seeing him take that swing, I just felt it was better for us to have Dalton long-term than short-term and make him play through it. And it was something we had done earlier in the year in moving Austin to second base. Actually, Austin played second base in junior college, and, he's just a really scrappy guy. And, he made some unbelievable, I thought he had 3 really good plays in the game that were, you'd think he was an everyday second baseman, but we don't really practice him there much, but he answered the bell and showed up.
Now, Coach, we spoke about it a little bit yesterday after the game, and again, today you get 2 inning-ending double plays with the bases loaded, 2 big opportunities for VCU to put some runs on the board, maybe extend their lead a little bit, and you get 2 huge double play balls. What did you see out of Joe Berg and then Cody Norman coming in and being able to make those good pitches in a pressure situation?
Joe had 3 innings on Saturday, and they were, quality innings as he's thrown all year, but it was also only 26 pitches. He thought it was the easiest innings he's had all year. So he told me on Sunday that he thought he had some left for today. And before that inning started, Joe, I thought, John Schilt is always run into a little trouble when he gets off to slow starts. Well, in turn, that's really bad throwing in relief. And so I had already decided before the inning started that if we got to McComas, that Joe Berg would be the guy to face him. And thought it was a really good matchup. He's off-speed, changeup, curveball. McComas had a little bit of trouble with it this weekend. And listen, to Joe to come in with the bases loaded and make that pitch is unbelievable, and it gave us a lot of energy. And then we were able to take the lead right there and go 4-2. And then they came back and hit Joe some, Cullen, who we had a little bit of trouble with this weekend. Had a nice double, and they were able to score 3 runs to go up 5-4. But Cody, made another great pitch and got a kid that had that doubled earlier on us in the game, and made a great pitch, and we were able to turn it over there at second base, and another nice double play between 2 guys that don't work together very much.
Now, you then go out after being down 5-4, you explode for eight runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and then the top of the 9th comes. Obviously, tensions boiled over a little bit. Now that you've had a day to sit back and remove yourself a little bit, what are you going to talk to the team about this week in terms of that situation?
I thought we did a good job the whole weekend of staying to who we were. And we acted with composure on Friday and Saturday. And, I thought VCU along the weekend was doing some stuff that was indifferent to what we do. And so when I talked to the kids Sunday before we even played was, let's stay to what we do. Let's not get caught up into their game. And, I think with, Brian Verbinski getting hit in the head in the 7th inning, and then to end that 8th inning, they took out Nyman at second. Our guys were on really high alert. And, Brian came in the 9th, and he throws the pitch, and he wasn't throwing at the person, but he was trying to throw it as hard as he could, and he missed by about 30 feet. But, then it escalated, and it was definitely unfortunate. And listen, I think after everybody's done with it, everybody's real apologetic, and, wish we were just talking about a 3-game sweep and a good victory. And, I think it's always learning experiences while you're in college, and, I think it'll be a great learning experience for this team. But I can't be more proud of how they stayed together and they defended themselves, and they stayed to who they were the whole weekend. And, almost 2 comebacks, and then a good win on Saturday. And I was real proud overall of how the team played.
Now we move forward to this week. You have Manhattan College first on Wednesday, then you head down to Norfolk to take on Old Dominion. First off, with Manhattan, a little bit of a local New York rivalry type game. What are you going to talk to the players about in terms of that, going out and maybe having bragging rights in the New York area?
We'll be a little bit shorthanded because of yesterday's scuffle there at the end. And so it's going to be a tough game position player-wise for us, with us losing 3 position players and not being depth-wise there. So Manhattan, it's always those are always high-tension games because you know the schools better, the St. John's, the Manhattans, the Marist. They're all local schools, and you want to play them. But we're going to go down there and give it our best battle. It's going to be a good time on Wednesday for us to get some relievers in that haven't been seeing much time, and also other guys that are just doing it. So, I think it'll be a good, team-type deal on Wednesday that we're going to need a good effort from, some guys that we hadn't gotten big efforts from this year so far, and give them a chance to contribute to a victory.
Now, you go down to Old Dominion this coming weekend for a 3-game set. Obviously, they have a little bit more tape on the style of play that you guys are going with this year. What adjustments do you think they're going to try and make to maybe throw you off your game a little bit?
We were talking about that, and I don't think, a couple days is enough time to get ready for us. VCU on paper knew how much we'd run. We had 39 bases, and we were able to have 18 on the weekend. And the way our style is you're going to have to give us something, and you're not going to be able to take away everything. And the one thing Old Dominion does have is they have a lot of returning players, and experience does help. They got Wright, Josh Wright, who was an all-conference player in the 3-hole, and Chris Baker. I don't know if we've gotten out in the last 2 years in the 4-hole, and he's had really good series against us. And they got Tomchek, who I feel like's been there ever since I've started 4 years ago, and they've got a really good staff, and a new head coach that did a real nice job at Western Kentucky before he came here, and so their team is starting to figure it out. They were 4-10 early, and I think they're 8-10 now, and they've won 4 in a row and gotten to be pretty good. I think they were preseason 3 in the conference in the early season poll, and so Dominion's a tough team. It'll be a tough opponent, and listen, anytime you go on the road, you're only shooting for 2 or 3, and it was real nice to get 3 games this weekend to get a little bit of cushion, but we don't want to throw it right out the door this first weekend. We want to keep the momentum of 4 wins in a row, try to pull off a win here on Wednesday with the short club, and get 5 in a row, head down to Old Dominion, take 2 or 3.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for joining me inside the WB Mason Coaches Report. Good luck down in Norfolk this weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. I appreciate having me.